This is National Native News. I'm Antonia Gonzalez. In Canada's west coast city of Victoria, British Columbia, the statue of the country's first prime minister has been removed. As Dan Karpinchuk reports, the city calls the removal a gesture of reconciliation toward Indigenous groups.
He may have been Canada's first prime minister, but he was also one of the architects of the country's residential school system. And for the past year, a small but vocal group has been calling for his bronze statue to be removed from in front of Victoria's City Hall. In a recent move, the City Council voted 7-1 in favor of doing just that, and within a couple of days, in the pre-dawn hours, it was taken down and put into storage. MacDonald served as Prime Minister for nearly 20 years. He has long been celebrated as the main force behind Confederation, but others say he was partly responsible for the misery caused by the residential school system. This protester says the removal of the statue was needed.
John A. MacDonald was the architect of a residential school, and because of that, 180,000 children were imprisoned in residential schools across all of so-called Canada.
Others, however, say the city is guilty of historic vandalism and is erasing history, and at least one city councillor says he doesn't believe taking down the statue will advance reconciliation. That statue will now go into storage until a decision is made about its future. In a sidebar, the newly elected government of Ontario says it will take the statue. For National Native News, I'm Dan Karpinchuk.
Two Native women running for Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota may differ when it comes to policies, but they acknowledge history in the making, being chosen with their running mates after this week's primary. They join a group of Native women candidates claiming victory in races across the United States. Donna Bergstrom, a member of the Red Lake Nation, is on the Republican ticket for Lieutenant Governor. She says women have always been leaders in the community and culture keepers.
So I think this is an extension of our willingness to step up and serve. And what I think is that, this is our home. America is our home. This is where we're, from. And I don't think we're afraid to step up and say we want to serve and help. And I think people are more comfortable now being able to step into this realm. I think it's just terrific.
Democratic candidate Peggy Flanagan is a citizen of the White Earth Nation. She says it's great to be part of the sisterhood of Native women running for political office.
One of the reasons that I decided to step up and do this is that so often Native women are invisible or disposable. And it is really important to me as the mom of a 5-year-old little Anishinaabe girl that she see herself reflected in the leadership in the state, and that she know that any pathway is open to her or other little girls of color or other Native girls.
One of them is expected to be the first Native American lieutenant governor of the state after November's general election. Both women say they look forward to working with the 11 tribes in the state and serve all people in Minnesota. U.S. Senator Tom Udall, vice chair of the Senate Committee on Indian Affairs, is requesting Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh's record on Native American issues. In a letter sent to the Senate Judiciary Committee, Udall asks for information on Indian affairs and the nominee's time as staff secretary and White House counsel. Udall says decisions by the High Court impact nearly all aspects of Native American life. Udall would like the records so his committee can consider Kavanaugh's view of Indian country. I'm Antonia Gonzalez.
National Native News is produced at the Annenberg National Native Voice Studios by Kawanak Broadcast Corporation. Funding is by Odawi Law Group, provider of Indian law solutions, and by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, with support from the Public Radio Satellite System.
Support by Ramona Farms, offering wholesome and delicious foods from our heirloom crops as our contribution to a better diet for the benefit of all people. We are honored to share our centuries-old farming and culinary traditions online at ramonafarms.com.
And by the law offices of Sonosky, Chambers, Saxe, Miller, and Monkman, a national tribal rights law firm with offices in Washington, D.C., New Mexico, California, and Alaska, and online at sonosky.com.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.